cover an event in this beautiful facility. Hi, I'm Bill Fleming, and I can tell you on behalf of Wide World of Sports, we're very happy to be part of all of those firsts. We're also very happy to be part of this competition. We've been looking forward to it ever since Baltimore a year ago, when Americans finished 1 and 2. Conrad Humfeld of the United States won it, chose not to defend his title this year, but Melanie Smith, who was the runner-up, is very much in contention. To talk more about those whom we're going to be looking at in these finals, let's call in our equestrian expert, former Olympic gold medalist Bill Steinkraus, who 3 days ago said it was impossible to predict what would happen here on the final day. You were a great handicapper. It is impossible.
Darned if it hasn't turned out that way, Bill. Yes, when it comes to thrillers, really, Birmingham is there head-and-head with Manila, because we have a very exciting competition shaping up. In this final phase, there are 50% bonus points at stake, and that means that the competition is really wide open. There are a dozen riders that have some kind of a crack at it, and 6 of them have a really pretty decent chance. Michael Matz, who was a gold medal winner in the Pan American Games. Melanie Smith, the runner-up for this title last year, and by no means least is our 21-year-old wonder, Donald Cheska, who is representing the United States abroad for the very first time and is unknown in this country, very little known even in the United States, but boy did he dazzle them when he won the second qualifying competition. These riders are up against 2 of the real cream of Europe. Harvey Smith, that tremendously tough Yorkshire fighter, been on the British team as a mainstay for a good many years now, and then a younger rider, Gilles Bertrand de Balanda of France, with the fabulous stallion Galoubet.
All right, Bill. As we indicated earlier, this is a 3-day competition, and we've come to the final day. And on this final day, because of the bonus points, the riders face 2 courses. Already, they've had 1 course, and the course designer was almost diabolical, I think, in that first one, Bill.
Yes, designer Alan Ball set a real test of accuracy for the riders in the first course, and some of those from the countries where the standard isn't quite as high as it is in North America or in Europe had real difficulty with it. That's Daniel Walker of Chile, and here is Roberto Tagla of Argentina, and they found Alan Ball's first course just a little bit too tough.
This, by the way, retired Tagla aboard Estio. However, the leader going into the final round, Gilles Bertrand de Balanda, really did make it look easy.
Yeah, the horse has tremendous scope, Bill. The only problem he has is that sometimes he gets playing and kicking back like that, and it's a real concern to Gilles.
Now, the course was set for the final leg in this competition. It is an interesting course, and I think the thing that intrigued me before the competition did get underway was the way the riders went out and really walked it. I remember that a Bill Steinkraus was sort of a pioneer in walking the course and striding it off.
Well, as you know, Bill, the horses don't get a chance to walk the course. They're seeing it for the first time when they come in to perform. So it surely helps the riders if they can walk off the strides and figure how easily the fences come down and have a little bit of a clue as to what they're going to ask their horses to do. The key to this second course comes late on it in the form of a 3 combination, starting with a vertical, 1 stride to a triple bar, and then 2 strides to a big oxer. Here's Rob Ridland on Island Discovery, and he doesn't make the long stride to the triple bar, and it's just impossible to do that way. Then there was Buddy Brown, and Buddy had a real shot at winning this competition until he came to the 3 combination. This is a short striding horse, is Felton, and he just barely gets to the triple bar, has no chance to jump out over the oxer. Buddy still makes a quick turn trying to save his time and comes back. We'll see him in slow motion here and see just how difficult this combination is. Buddy really gets cranked up this time because he knows it rides very long. And he calls on him over the first fence and really drives to the triple and really drives again to that big oxer, but he stands a long way away from it, and he does make it. But Buddy was dead for the competition, unfortunately.
It was unfortunate because he was tied with Melanie Smith for 6th place, and Melanie will be our next rider. Now, earlier I talked with her about her background, indicating that her rise in this sport certainly disproved the myth that you have to have money, because after all, Melanie really did start down on a farm in Tennessee.
Well, that is sort of the way it happened with me. I was raised on a farm in Germantown, Tennessee, and we had a lot of ponies and animals around, and I just grew up, you know, on the back of a pony. I didn't really ride in a saddle until I was about 12 years old. I just rode bareback on anything I could find, and And I just loved horses and loved to ride, and just dreamed of someday being able to, ride in the Olympics like every child likes to dream. And even if it's not a goal that one can achieve, I always felt it was best to have the highest goal that you could and strive towards that. And so I just grew up, with that sort of dream in mind, and rode and got as much experience as I could, and things worked out for me.
Melanie Smith has a total of 18 points coming into this final day of competition. On the first course, she had 4 faults, just 1 fence down. Now, keep in mind that there are 15 jumps on this final course. The time that you will see up in the upper right-hand corner is the time that has elapsed for the rider. The total allowable time before a penalty is 84 seconds for this 540-yard course.
Melanie has gone awfully well with the Dutch-bred Calypso here this week, and she's just been kind of unlucky. Every now and then he's dragged that hind end and hit a fence that he didn't even hit hard, but that came down. Melanie is desperate now to produce a clear round because she just cannot afford to have one more fence down. She rubs that 4th fence, has a little bit of a tick there. That doesn't count. And she guns for the 2 combination and has the 1st fence down. Oh, heavens, that's really a shame because this horse has gone so well, and Melanie has ridden with such great coolness through all week, but I'm afraid she's finished, Bill.
Yes, those 4 more faults added to her 4 previous faults of the first round today give her a total of 8, and I guess it's just going to have to be looking forward to 1982 for her.
Let's see how this nice little horse jumps the 3 combination. She rides very confidently, gets to the triple bar okay. Gee, that's lovely, Bill. Isn't that nice?
Beautiful.
Now she's turning to the last 2 fences. There's a big triple bar spread almost 7 feet, and the last fence is well over 5 feet. The whole course is around 5 feet or better. Well, fine round, but tough luck.
And among those in the audience applauding is Prince Philip, who is the head of the International Equestrian Federation. Back in a moment.
We'll go back to the World Cup Show Jumping Championship in a minute. First, a look back at John McEnroe's dramatic victory over Bjorn Borg today in the men's singles final at Wimbledon. Borg is discovering that he has trouble beating McEnroe in a tiebreaker. After he won the first set 6-4, he lost both the second and third sets in tiebreakers. So consequently, when he served at 4-5 in the 4th set, he did so under the most intense pressure of his Wimbledon career. Borg at the service line. The serve, as you'll see, was short. McEnroe followed his return to net. McEnroe's first volley down the middle, and then the second volley nicked the line for the winner. For Borg, the first loss in 42 matches at Wimbledon, ending his 5-year reign as champion. For McEnroe, the victory was a measure of revenge not just for his loss to Borg in last year's memorable 5-set Wimbledon final, but also for the stormy tournament he played. McEnroe was fined a total of $2,250 for his outbursts at tournament officials, and today a Wimbledon committee recommended he be fined another $10,000 for his actions on the court. But today the fines, the beating McEnroe has taken in the British press, all temporarily forgotten as the new champion was crowned. Incidentally, McEnroe's singles title goes with the men's doubles title he won earlier with partner Peter Fleming. Now, before we go back to show jumping, we'd like to clarify for you the scoring system used in the World Cup Show Jumping Championship. The champion of this event is the rider who accumulates the most points during the 3 days of the competition. Points are based on placings and are awarded for each of the 3 days. On the first and second days, the points range from 20 points for first place to 1 point awarded for 16th place. On the final day, which you are seeing now, the point scale starts at 30 points for first to 1.5 points for finishing 16th. A rider's placing is determined by the number of faults during his ride. If a rider finishes the course without knocking off any element of the jump and within the allotted time, that rider would have no faults or a perfect ride. Faults are given for knocking off an element of a jump, which is 4 faults, or for taking more than the allotted time for the course, in this case, 84 seconds. That is penalized at the rate of 1/4 fault per second over the time limit. Thus, the rider with the lowest total faults on each day of the event would place first for that day. The final day of competition actually consists of 2 rounds, and the scores that you see prior to each ride reflect the faults from the first round of the final day and the points the rider has going into the last day of competition. Now let's return to the World Cup Show Jumping Championship.
Coming up next, Michael Matz, 30 years old, from Plymouth Meeting, Pennsylvania, one of America's brightest hopes for a World Cup title. He makes riding a high-strung thoroughbred look a lot easier than it really is. Earlier, we talked to Michael about his 13-year-old horse, Jet Run.
Jet Run is a thoroughbred horse, and he's a little bit of a nervous horse. He looks quiet sometimes, but he can be a little bit strong and temperamental. You have to sit very still on this horse, and you make a big move, and you could end up with a little bit of problems. He's a very special horse, and he's always done well in big competitions, and if I'd have to be sitting on any horse, I'd like to be sitting on him.
On the first round, 4 faults, just 1 fence down. So he is in 4th place with 21 points, and a clear round here would put a lot of pressure on the Frenchman de Balanda, who has yet to come.
Yes, Bill, this is exactly the tactical situation that Michael enjoys. He's got great patience as a rider, and he will go out and put in his performance and then let other people sweat it out. Sometimes that squeeze is a little bit too much for them, and if he can hang up a clear round here, it would be the first one over this course. He would surely put a lot of pressure on Balanda. Michael can't really attack this course. He's got to put up a clear round and let Balanda come back to him. But boy, the horse looks, don't you think, Bill, he looks sharper this round than he did the first one?
Very definitely. I think Michael's given him a little talking to.
Yeah, and Michael is a great stylist, but he's riding pretty aggressively. He is really begging Jet Run to jump fences clean. Let's see how he handles this tricky 3 combination that's coming up. That's really caused so much tragedy in this course for so many riders, and see what Jet Run does with it. Oh, boy,
yes.
He's got 2 fences to go, Bill. He rubbed a couple fences through there, but let's see how he does the big triple bar, and he's a foot over that. 1 fence to go.
All right. Michael Matz of the United States, and a big smile breaks out on his face. The first clean round of this course on this final day. He has to feel good about that one. And I imagine Prince Philip is calculating that 30 points to the winner would give Michael Matz a total of 51. Perhaps that's a bit optimistic at this point, but he very much is putting the pressure on those ahead of him. Next up, Harvey Smith of the United Kingdom. Coming into this final round, 3rd place with 23 points. He had 4 faults, just 1 fence down on the first course.
Harvey's spent more than half of his life on the British team. He's 43 now, and he first came to prominence in 1958. He's a tremendously popular, controversial, dour Yorkshireman, and everybody in England really loves him. Harvey, I was talking to him before this round, and he's a little bit concerned about Sanmar. Whoops, has 4 faults, Bill, and that just about cooks Harvey. As I was saying, this horse is not a thoroughbred horse. He doesn't have all that temperament, and he's had a very hard season. Harvey was afraid that he might not have the heart to jump these great big fences and jump 2 enormous courses in a row. I guess he was right. You hear that breathing. Horse might have a little trouble with his wind on top of it, and that fence came down too. Harvey's now got 8 for this round, and that pretty much puts him out of contention.
Now that's a total of 12.
Oh, he struggled through that 3 combination, but he made it just by the skin of his teeth. Yeah, he looks a little bit tired, this horse now.
1 to go. And a nice applause from this predominantly English audience, although it is international in scope because of the international scope of the field. So that's a total of 12 faults for Harvey Smith. And yet to come in this most important jumping competition of the year, Donald Chesky of the United States, de Balanda of France, and Hugo Simon of Austria. It hasn't been all jumping competition here in Birmingham, England. At each session, we've been treated to a performance by the famous horsemen of the Household Cavalry. This is the quadrille, a development of the musical ride, first performed 80 years ago, and the riders today are wearing the same style uniforms of the 1880s. Interesting to see also the British heavy horse, used so extensively in the 1700s as a military animal. What was really fun for the crowd was the dog jumping competition. All makes and all models racing over a tricky, obstacle-filled course. But this is mainly a horse competition. Along with the show jumping championships are various displays all the way from the free champagne at the art gallery to displays of machinery and tack. And it gives people of all ages and levels of horsemanship an opportunity to see what's new and perhaps to take home a souvenir or two of this noteworthy event. Coming up right now is 21-year-old Donald Cheska of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Currently, he is in second place with 28 points. On the first round of this final leg, he had just one fence down, 4 faults. You know, Bill Steinkraus, you said he had great potential, but really, did you expect this much from him in his first international competition?
Bill, if he'd just been respectable on his first trip abroad, I think we would have been very pleased. And for him to have won the second leg of this competition and to be there right striking with the leaders is absolutely flabbergasting. He's just been a revelation here. And he's shown so much poise and so much courage on this 14-year-old thoroughbred South Side that he's opened everybody's eyes. Of course, at this point, he's had a fence down in the first round, as you pointed out, and he dare not have another one. He's riding just the way he has been all week, just like a mature veteran who knows exactly what he's doing, and he's a very cool customer. See how he handles this line? This line is a little bit tight, and he makes a beautiful check, and my heavens, he has it down behind, and I'm afraid that's going to push him out of the top spot, Bill.
That's a total of 8 for the first, 4 now.
Well, the scoring system here with points counting is so darn complicated that nobody really knows exactly what they have to do. We figure that he can ill afford this second 4 faults, and he would have to be very quick to have any chance of earning the top spot. He just went around the fence in the end of the ring, which means his time here is going to be slow. He's not going to be one of the faster 8s, and I'm afraid that kills him, Bill. But he can still be mighty proud of the performances he's had this week.
I guess so. So, Donald Cheska of the United States. And let's take a look again at that little mistake.
Well, I couldn't see any flaw in his riding the first time. In slow motion, you see he makes just a beautiful check here. Of course, his head stays in a good place. He meets the fence all right. Don's way up on the front deck, but he still just hits it behind. I can't blame that on Don.
So Donald Cheska will just have to wait now and wait for the ride of Gilles Bertrand de Belanda and also of Hugo Simon. The Belanda has an interesting horse, a stallion, Galoubet Malazan, who bucks and does cause some problems, and earlier Bill Steinkraus talked to him about it.
So it's very funny for the public, but not for me. And I don't know why exactly. I think it's stallion, you know?
Galoubet Malazan, a stallion who will be going to stud after this event. On the first round, 4 faults, 1 fence down, currently in first place with 30 points.
Well, this is a spectacular combination of horse and rider, and I think most of the riders here would tell you that Galoubet is the #1 show jumper in the world right now. He just jumps these big fences with an ease that is virtually contemptuous. But every now and then, that funny little kick or buck that he puts in can get his approach into trouble, and he every now and then has a fence down too. He led the European League qualifying, and he just jumps that combination like nothing, and then shows his disrespect for the course that Alan Ball has set by kicking back again.
Is it proper to say that a horse has a monumental ego?
Well, I think you could in this case. He really shows contempt for these fences. I mean, he's absolutely brilliant. It's so easy for him when he gets there right. And he's in the driver's seat, of course. If he hangs up a clear round here, he's got the title. Oh, that's a tragedy for Belanda. And he did a thing I've never seen him do, which is to drop down in the middle of a fence. Oh, my God, and he compounds it by jumping right into the middle of the triple bar. And I think the 8 faults here are going to kill him stone dead.
Absolutely. That's a total of 12. Michael Matz, of course, went clean on his final round with only a total of 4.
Let's look at this three combination in slow motion, and he really tries to bank off of it, giving himself no chance, you'd think, for the last fence, which he jumps like nothing. So I don't know. Let's see what the triple bar looks like. I think he just left out a stride in his approach and tried to do it from about 12 feet from the base of the fence. My heavens.
I'm surprised the horse wasn't hurt and the rider wasn't dismounted.
That's right.
So things are looking very good for Michael Matz of the United States, but yet to come, Hugo Simon, the '79 World Cup winner. This sellout crowd here in Birmingham, England, is applauding Hugo Simon of Austria, who was the 1979 World Cup champion. Hugo, in his first round of this final leg, had a clear round, and he has a total of 13 points toward the overall championship. Keep in mind that the winner of today would get 30 points, and in the overall picture, he would have a total of 43 should he win it. So he very much could win the World Cup title. And he's up on an interesting horse, Gladstone.
He's interesting indeed, Bill. This is a 12-year-old Hannoveraner that probably goes around 1,250 pounds, and he's an absolute powerhouse. Whereas Hugo is just a little guy with kind of short legs, and how is he going to control this great big horse? I don't know, but he's got to do it because a clear round would put him in a very strong position, and 4 faults will kill him, and he just had the 4 faults, Bill.
Bill, I think that does it for Michael Matz of the United States. That 4 faults, and because he was so far behind Michael, in fact, 8 points going into the final round, I'm sure Michael has got the title, and I think he knows it.
I believe you're right, and that really is quite an American triumph. Some of the British said last year, you know, that we set the courses at Baltimore to favor the home team, but they can't say that here. And here goes Gladstone. You see really why this horse has such a brilliant reputation, because he's got tremendous ability, and he just skips over these things as if they were nothing. He's probably the second most coveted horse in the show ring to Gallopay, and maybe this week we'd have to say to Jet Run too, because a lot of people have got to admire the American thoroughbreds after this week's performances.
And that does it for Hugo Simon of Austria.
And I think it does it for Michael Matz of the U.S., Bill.
Absolutely. Michael Matz of the United States is the winner, and Donald Cheska of the United States finishes second. So let's get a word with our new World Cup champion.
Michael, I couldn't be more thrilled, but I have to ask you one question. When did you know you had it won?
Well, the points are so complicated that I really didn't know. One person said I won it. One person said Jill de Belanda won it. We really didn't know until...
When you had that fence down, what did you think?
Well, after the first round, when I had the fence down, I was a little bit... I thought, Jesus, the same thing is happening as it did last year in Baltimore, where I had one down that caused me the World Cup there, too.
Yeah. Well, it looked as if he was kind of holding back the first round, the first part of the first round, and then he looked like a different horse the second time. Did anything happen in warming him up for the second round?
Well, I got some advice from somebody standing right here to ride the horse a little bit more forward, that he was hanging back, and that's exactly what I tried to do, and it really helped.
Well, I couldn't be more thrilled, and you have our very best congratulations, Michael.
Thank you very much, Billy.
And it's a big day for the United States, finishing first and second, Michael Matz and Donald Cheska. The United States also getting 2 of the other first 6 positions, with Leslie Burr finishing 5th and Melanie Smith in 6th. It's been a wonderful experience to be here in Birmingham, England, a colorful event with all of these fresh flowers flown in daily from Holland. All in all, we've enjoyed it. Bill Fleming, along with Bill Steinkraus, saying so long from Birmingham.